I feel like a lot's been going on the internet. What was he talking about before we started recording? I don't want to start on a proper awful place, but I think it's a good conversation we had actually. Sex for grades was the hashtag. Don't laugh, bro. It's not a topic you can laugh at. This guy's too silly. He wants to laugh straight away, you know. He heard sex.
Nah, do you know?
Fucking kid.
Do you know what that reminded me of?
What?
There was you know when social media has this viral moment,
yeah,
and they took a clip from a Nollywood film,
okay,
and the head teacher of the school was like, "Do you think that you can pass without kissing my cock?"
Cock is a violent word, bro. It's a horrible word.
But imagine it in a Nige accent. It just sounds even more nuts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I was laughing. Sorry, it just came into my head.
I mean, that clip is funny, but with what's going on currently, man can't laugh. So
yeah, go on.
BBC News Africa have done an undercover, investigative journalism. My favorite type of journalism.
Mm-hmm.
I like the panorama style. I'm not for not to disrespect anyone. That new Reggie Yates Nation one.
Yeah.
I'm not for the tippy tappy
on the fence.
I want it raw. Don't, because you're not going to get nothing from that, innit? Go undercover, take a risk, and get us the real truth. So there's been a problem for decades with young ladies being on campus and lecturers saying, "Yo, listen, if you wanna pass this course, you're gonna have to do some things."
Jesus Christ! I was just talking about the scene in Nollywood, and it happens to be in Africa as well.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. But are we surprised that it exists?
No, I've heard that. I've seen it in the films. Growing up, it's always been a storyline in films. I think anywhere there's a lot of poverty.
Yeah.
And obviously, we was joking last week about Nigerians liking to study and stuff. People know that to climb that social ladder, you have to go through the education route. You're then going to get people that understand they've got a power within that process and take advantage of it. So that's why it wasn't surprising.
But is it just in poverty though, is what I'm saying? I think it's just generally across the board because, in several fields of work, there's always that rumor or allegation that someone had to sleep their way to the top. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with a reward, you have to do something to be rewarded or to get to where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Sort of it's a form of exploitation.
Yeah, of course it is.
Do you know why I resent that especially? Because I feel like it shifts the blame onto the victim.
Yeah.
This kind of coming out is not shocking to me at all. I think a lot of women can attest to the fact that, most of us have been through some sort of inappropriate situation or abuse of power. And I think for some men seeing it, it's oh my God, wow, that's so horrible. But for me, I was I'm not shocked at all.
You know what? And the thing is that there's so much damage that it does to the person in the end, regardless of them essentially then achieving what they've wanted to achieve. It's a lot of the time it's against their will, which is even more crazy, innit? Because there's no satisfaction in anything.
No, of course not.
But what was the age range in this report?
Well, for Nigeria, it was University of Lagos, which is a massive uni. A lot of prominent people through Nigeria's history have gone to that university, so there's prestige there. And in Lagos, at the time of doing the documentary, age of consent is 18. But now with Nigeria and Lagos specifically, if you got the grades, you got the grades. You can go to university at 14, 15. So now imagine a young teenage girl like that on campus, naive, ain't got a clue what's going on. And the lecturer says, "Yo, listen, I need to have a meeting in my office." That's how a lot of the scenarios happen, where come and meet in my office. Big man, I have lectures with you in the big lecture room. I need to come and see you in the office. There's nothing in there for me. And that's where the process then starts, and they start leaning on these girls, and you then get the guys being exposed, and you find out what they're doing. And some guys are overt straight away. Some is a slower grooming process.
Yeah.
Where they keep inviting them back, and we small things, subtle things next time you come wear high heels. So you can already tell that he's planted a seed somewhere in it. But even if they were of age, say 18, I believe it's still wrong just because there's a power imbalance.
Yeah.
Because I want this thing so badly, you're now making me potentially go against my morals and
I think the problem is actually bigger than the lecturer or the girls.
Yeah.
It's the parents and the people in authority, because there are so many people that think, okay, this has happened, I know this is bad, but if I tell my parents or if I tell the headmaster, I'm going to get in trouble. And it's that fear that's perpetuated. It's like, okay, someone's done something wrong to me, but I don't want to ruin the rest of my life, because you're no longer the victim. You are the person that caused shame on their family. You're the person that got this person kicked out of their job. You're the person that ruined that family's life. It's shame on you. So then you're thinking, I know this isn't right, but it's a sense of helplessness. And then it is exploitation as well, because the lecturers know that as well. Who are you going to tell? She was like, he said it in the video, I will tell your parents that you're being disobedient. And that was enough. Fair enough, she was undercover. But imagine how many girls you said that to before.
Yeah.
I think it's also a rape culture thing and almost like a structure thing, because it happens at work as well. Like, I can be quite open about a scenario I had recently where a manager at a job I had redacted from a redacted place. Redacted place. Obviously, I was in my probation and probation period. So the way it kind of started to happen, like, I'm a big woman and I have, you know what I'm saying, sense. I got my head on my shoulders. But the way it kind of happened was this manager took a liking to me, and it seemed like he was kind of being a father figure. And then it started to be like, I'm going to let you go early. Oh, I'll give you this overtime. I'll let you do this. I'll let you do that. And then the personal questions started to come about my love life. And then, you know, I feel like you should do this, or, you know, you should give me your number so that if I need to call you about this change at work. So it kind of happened like that. And I felt really pressurized, because I was like, okay, cool. I feel uncomfortable. But if I tell someone senior, will they look at me as problematic? Will I lose my job, type of thing? So I feel like it's not just an age thing. It's like a systemic thing. So there needs to be systems in place to protect women, show them what to do when you're in that situation. Spotting the early signs of grooming, because I feel like grooming is not so overt. It's not going to be, as you said, the Nollywood thing, come in here, if you want to pass this grade, you have to kiss my cock. It's not always
that violent word.
That that awful word.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, it's like it's the art of manipulation, because you do it in a way where it makes the victim also almost seem crazy. Yeah. So like, and then that's where the fear stems from telling, like, going to tell other people, because of how they might have had a conversation prior. He's making it seem like you're bugging out, so that if you go and tell other people, they're not going to side with you, because you're essentially here looking for a come up anyways, because you're new, and I'm the guy in a position, or I'm the person in a position that can make things happen for you. So like you said, I do feel like there needs to be some sort of protection plan in place. I don't know, I don't even have an idea of a type of solution that they can. How do you police that?
That's going to be harder to police than like probably lecturer one.
Yeah.
Because even with that, someone had to go take a risk, go underground and find the information, bring it to us. Even though a lot of us say we know, when you now see it visually, it brings it all home. Like, her example is going to be hard unless, like, you have a recording, those things, because people are going to take advantage in powerful positions. And men through history have done it, and unfortunately will continue to do it. What you try and do is out them, like, treat people like lepers, ostracize them, punish them heavily, make examples out of people. You know, like, we got like
wasn't that the Harvey Weinstein
thing, the Bill Cosby thing? Like, you have to do that with people, fortunately or unfortunately, to be like, listen, we're shining a light on this. This can no longer continue. Because even with the thing happening with the BBC Africa documentary, obviously Ghana, Nigeria. I don't know if you saw the thing in the Market Girls in Nigeria, in Yaba.
No.
They were, like, they've been going through stuff where they're just out and about, man, they were just touching them. So one day they had enough and they protested. And even through the protest, man, they're still trying to grab them, but people have to go through that painful process and be like, you know what, we're not having it anymore, for it to at least the conversation to start.
You know what I was going to say, yeah? You see, with things like that, obviously, like you said, policing that is very hard, but I think what Monroe said earlier is made me think to myself, it's about equipping women or anyone in a vulnerable position to be able to tackle it, as opposed to that would probably be the best place to start. Do you know what I mean? It's like fire drills. You see what I'm saying? It's like everyone's equipped with what to do in that situation. But when you were saying before that you didn't know how to handle it, that's the first problem in it, that you don't know how to deal with that situation, let alone where to go from next. Do you know what I mean?
Is that like in the eyes of the employer? So like, is that like part of your induction, onboarding process,
like prevention training and stuff?
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Where does that come in place?
It should come in place in general. So by no means am I saying that, you know, it's a right of women that we have to equip ourselves and we must learn the signs, because really and truly, men just need to keep their hands to themselves and be appropriate. That's
Facts.
the, you know what I'm saying, the bottom line. But the truth is that it happens, and I feel like the same way you might come into a company and they'll say, okay, cool, this is the grievance process if you have an issue. It should be spoken about more openly.
Yeah.
Women should be encouraged to be like, listen, if anything inappropriate happens to you, this is who you speak to, this is who you call. There needs to be support groups in companies, the same way you have unions. Like, I know that in my company, if I drop down the stairs, I have a complete, you know what I'm saying, conclusive process of what I do. But I don't have a process of, okay, if someone touched me at work, what do I do? I would just have to guess and be like, okay, let me speak to this person. But what if this person's friends with this person? Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and them HR niggas be snaky, but
I'm
can't
telling you.
trust them. Bro, listen, I'm
And
on
the thing is, like,
probation.
everyone's like, oh yeah, like something happens, like ring upon the HR, yeah. Fam,
That phone don't get answered.
HR, bro, that sometimes the HR's your up, fam.
Voicemail, they don't pick up.
And the thing is that, like, I feel like people that work in HR are trained to have like that face, like, oh yeah, like, you know, hear what you're saying, kind of thing. Like, we're really gonna take this seriously, and you know, things like that. We have zero tolerance.
That's the key word.
All the
zero
buzzwords,
tolerance.
innit?
Yeah, like all the buzzwords. Ain't gonna do nothing.
I think
in
a lot
fact,
of us-
they're gonna warn the other person, like, hey, listen, lay low for a bit,
Yeah.
because such and such.
Gardening leave or chill out.
You know what would be good actually? If there was an outside, a third party company that kind of polices other companies. Do you see what I'm saying? That way there's no ties or conflict of interest. It's
That's
just,
when the government has to get involved for funding.
yeah, but
Which
And as soon as you start bringing money into these things, people aren't on it. Because even with HR, a lot of us have misconceptions. They're not there for you. They're there to protect the interests of the company. That's their job, literally black and white. Protect the interest in the company. So whatever's not going to affect us too much, we'll go with it. So
I mean, someone should make it then.
yeah, I mean, and the thing is that, like, what I'm worried about is the fact that it's in Africa and Nigeria. A lot of them stories, like, especially on a global scale, they get ignored.
yeah,
It's, you know, Donnie's gone undercover for, like, you know, that's a huge risk.
the lady herself
because-
was studying to be a doctor, and
Right.
she got proposition like that. She had to drop out.
Yeah,
So like, I like, there's two sides to this. So there'll be the women that get proposition in that situation and do the pragmatic approach. Unfortunately, this is how it is. This is how we're rocking. Cool. Let's get this 5 minutes over and done with, and let me get my qualification. And there's probably thousands of women who just have not said anything and had to do what they had to do to get where they need to get to.
So
And it's nothing against them. And then, but on the other side, you've got women like this who, unfortunately, has had to near enough shelve a career, and now is doing journalism off the back of this happening, even though she wanted to go to school and be a doctor.
Yeah.
So it's like, you've got two sides. Like, I'm not mad at the women that just have to roll the punches, because a lot of women were like, no one's out here supporting us, so we've got to do what we've got to do.
And I think it's a culture thing as well. Where education is so important in some countries, I can imagine that pressure on them.
And plus, like, by any means necessary, in it, to get your qualifications to the point where they bypass these scenarios, where they're like, oh yeah, you know, like, I don't feel comfortable around my lecturer, and they were like, that's the person that's going to get you the grades. Focus on your books, focus on your studies, and then that gets swept under the carpet, and then they're just forced to continue that situation, and it's just gonna, and yeah, so that's what I was saying. Like, there's fear in the story being on the news, but a week later it will get swept under the carpet.
But I mean, we're having a conversation now, and I think obviously with stuff like the Me Too movement,
sure,
we're having more conversation. It's going to be uncomfortable because man, them are going to get called out for certain things that we may have thought was cool, and then we've got to unlearn certain behaviour, and then you get that, you bump heads with men and women who are like, oh, you lot overreacting. No, that's actually mad. And like I said, you get people that get hung out to dry like Harvey Weinstein, because there's still an element of within it where there's a choice. Other than, like, obviously the girls that actually getting sexually assaulted or someone's forced themselves upon them, Donnie's gone to you, I want you to do this to get this. There's still a choice within it. But the issue is the power imbalance. And like somewhere where education is massively important, where poverty is an issue.
Yeah, so
it's
I'm not necessarily...
It's consensual in terms of that, but like the levels aren't there, because I wouldn't normally do this, but there's this thing that's so important to me. I would now possibly go against my morals, and that's where the black and white. That's where the problem really is, isn't it?
Do you know what I think it is as well? For a lot of women, it's that we're not going to get believed anyway. You see a lot of women that speak out, and there's always at least a few people, even women, not just men, that will be like, oh, that didn't happen, or she's lying, where's the proof, where's the evidence? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you guys know me, I'm an open book, and like I said, I've had certain things happen to me. So earlier this year, I had a situation where I was attacked in my car. Jeez. And I was very open about it on social media. I was sitting in my car, guy jumped in, tried to put his hand up, so, trigger warning by the way, so apologies to anyone this may trigger, but tried to force his hand up my dress, tried to force himself on me, and I was literally fighting, and that's the most scared I think I've ever been. And my kind of warning was just like to women to lock their car doors. I always lock my car door, and I let the ball drop. So when I tweeted about this, people are like, oh, this didn't happen. And, you know, it went on, I think, a few Nigerian blogs, especially. And they were like, oh, she's capping. Was he Spider-Man? How did he do this? So it's just that feeling. And
what?
Don't laugh.
I was thinking, what would I gain
was he
from
Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man's the only one that can open a car door.
Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, why wasn't your car door locked? Because it wasn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just sometimes some of these situations happen, and it's not just, oh, there's not a system in place to support women. It's also that fear of backlash, that fear of like, I'm not going to get believed. Is there any point? So I feel like for a lot of these women that are in university or in that situation, it probably is like a, should I say something because will my parents believe me? Will the university actually believe me? Will people talk about me and say, no, actually she was just, you know, hoeing about, she was just doing this.
And it turns into, what were you wearing? Why were you there? Why were you out at night? Why weren't you with someone? Why didn't you do this? And then again, it's just placing the blame on the person
rather than
rather than actually addressing the issue. That's why people just don't say anything.
How much can we talk about the situation? Have you reported that?
I did. I reported it. Police took about 2 hours to come.
Wow.
So I ended up leaving. I followed it up. They took like forensics and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they took my dress and did forensics. At first they were in South London, they were quite supportive, like the police there. In my borough, not so much. It was a very triggering thing going through it. Just even sitting there and having to recount the statement.
They treat you almost like suspicion.
It wasn't suspicion, but it was like having to recount every detail. It was so hard. Oh, how long did it happen? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Bitch, I wasn't counting.
You know what I'm saying? I froze up.
I was just fighting.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just, I felt like, there was even a point where I was like, hold on, did I make this up? Like, I know I didn't make it up, but he was asking so many questions, I almost started to question myself. And then, after a while, no more contact from the police, or now. This happened in January, February. And since then, I've not heard nothing.
But that's like the show we were talking about before we started recording, the Unbelievable show on Netflix. Same thing. The first girl that had the incident, the way they were interrogating her,
it was as if like
it was just it's literally like it's mirror image of so what happened, how long, the way they were trying to make her try and remember every single detail. Like I've never been through something like that. But even just
any traumatic experience, I feel like they expect you to be so intricate with like your detailed analysis of what's happened that like I can't give you up to stats.
Obviously, on one end, they're trying to get as much information as possible, but it needs to be treated, I feel, with more care. Because if anybody watch Unbelievable on Netflix, there's a scene where the first girl that's been attacked, the way they're talking to her, they're just treating as if like, what did you do? Did this really happen? And then the person goes on to have many more rapes, and then obviously without ruining it, you go on further down the line, and they then have an interaction with her later where the police officer has to apologise.
And watching that was so triggering for me, because when my assault happened, I watched the guy walk into a house, so I could identify the house, and if the police had come on time, they would have been able to walk into that house and arrest him. So
that nigga went home cash.
He walked into the house casual, and do you know what I'm saying? I was so shook up that I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not Superwoman. I can't walk into the house and punch him up. So, but if they had come, they would have had the powers to kick down the door, arrest him, whatever. So for me, my fear is that that definitely would have happened to someone else, because men like that don't just do it on a whim, like one time. And, you know, to a certain extent, I know this is going to sound a bit twisted, but I'm kind of happy it happened to me and not someone else, because I'm a really strong girl, like as in I'm physically strong. So when I was fighting him off me, I was able to like get him off me. I was trying to punch him, but how he had me on it. Sorry, it's not a laughing matter. And you know what, me laughing, this is kind of
how you're dealing with it,
how I deal with it, innit? So it's like unbelievable. Like all the women dealt with the situation differently. One was fine, she was calm, another one was, you know, just so shook up. But yeah, so I'm happy, you know what I'm saying, I'm tall, I'm set, strong, and I was able to come away from that situation with nothing really happening except mental scars.
That Donnie's done it before.
Absolutely, 100%.
Because the way you said he just walked back into the yard, put on EastEnders with his feet up, like there
made
wasn't
a
a
cup
possibility.
of tea, that's it.
Like there was no, but it's true though. Like you have to be really brazen to do that.
Yeah,
especially like if it's right, like the car's outside.
But he might tie into what we were saying earlier. He probably doesn't think he's gonna get caught. That's what it is.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
he's
think he
done
saw
it
anything
before.
wrong with what he did either. I think he saw it as, oh, I was just trying my luck, and well, okay, cool. She said no, so because he eventually
where's
stopped.
your education? I have to question you now, because like how have you gone through life thinking that this is normal?
But you say that, but it's the same way how some men will walk past women and slap their ass. That is actual blatant sexual assault. But a lot of men, even probably up until people on social media were saying, guys, this is wrong. Don't do it at carnival. This is sexual assault. They didn't think it was.
I think there's still degree, like, not even to downplay it, I think there's still degrees, like, that on the street to a certain degree will be more understandable than Donnie jumping in someone's random car and then
trying to fight them.
No introduction, nothing, just straight for the vagina, nothing.
Unsolicited.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The street attack is still definitely wrong, but Donnie jumping like, no, you're just being a whip. Even a man them.
I thought it was one of my friends, you know. I was like, oh, you guys back? Oh, literally. That was my reaction. And you kind of will talk about how you would react in a situation like that, but when it's there, listen.
And it's crazy because like there was a video that was going around the other day of a Donnie, like he had a van, and then he found the babes in there.
Babes in his van?
Yes, one girl was just in his van. And he's like, come out. And she's like, nah, come in. Legs spread out. And she started to feel herself up. I'm thinking, what's going on here?
What did Donnie do?
Bruv, I don't know. The video was like 30 seconds.
Oh, you cut it.
Bro,
I ain't getting in.
Huh?
You call the police straight away.
Oh.
What do you think I said? Bro, you broke into my car.
I thought you
said David legs spread out, please.
Yeah, I thought you said you were getting in.
What kind of sexual demon do you not think I am?
I was like, bro,
are you not sick?
Why are you this horny, bro? What's going on?
That ain't horny, bro. That's a problem. We'd have to have a different chat after this. You have to find a new co-host. That's scary, bro. Yeah,
that's crazy.
I didn't want to start off too more, but I think it's an important conversation to be had. And I do like the fact that it is on BBC News Africa, and there's a lot more content on this. I've watched stuff about the lean epidemic in Nigeria as well. You'd be surprised. There's a mad lean epidemic in Nigeria. It's crazy.
Sipping lean, getting turned.
Like 10, 11, 12 people admitted every week.
Bro.
Wow.
And then man have got the proper stuff as well.
The real lean.
Yeah,
the
no
lean lean.
games. Yeah. Yeah, they're not playing. What else I watched on there? The house girl stuff. So the stuff about like this, the stories of the house girls, the people that
you were active, boy.
Yeah, no, I've watched a lot of content on it. Those kind of things are intriguing to me because I remember like the first time going home to Nigeria and like being at the dinner table and man's just getting served. So I started getting cocky thinking like this was normal. But my mum was still trying to keep me humble, like relax yourself, innit? Like in London, you wash your own dish, innit?
Yeah, for
But
real.
then I'm battling with getting up from the table, take my plate to the kitchen, and my aunt takes that as an offence because she's got house help. Now, from just the 2 weeks I was there, from what I saw at least, that house girl was treated with respect and was almost part of the family, but you are still essentially house help, innit? And then on the flip side, you watch the documentaries and you see how some other people treat their house help, and it's not the best, innit? Some people look at it as, what do you even say, slavery, like almost like servitude. There is this, there are people on different sides of the conversation who say it's a cultural thing. Other people like, we should absolutely scrap it. I mean, do you have any of that where you're like from? Because I know So's from the same place as me. Do you have that back home as well?
Bro, yeah. When I went Congo, I was there for 5 weeks, innit? I was saying the other day, and I was living with my grandma, and she had house help. This man, and I was like, but she used to grease him up all the time.
It's too much, innit?
Like, allow him, but I couldn't say nothing she was just telling me like, nah, he's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I'm paying him. He's supposed to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when we're not there, it makes sense because, you know, she's old, innit?
She does need help right now.
So she does need help, regardless of the fact that she's stubborn.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you can't do in it. She's like, I've got this, but the rest, you do it. And obviously, she's meeting us for the first time, so the love is just extra. And
they're trying to show out and do loads for you.
So she's like, don't you dare lift a finger.
Yeah, that was my experience as well. But then like, my mum pinching me under the table, my aunt saying no, bro, I don't know what to do. Nigga, I just want to put my plate in the kitchen. So yeah, I think I'd say everyone go on BBC News Africa and just find whatever like you enjoy now and watch some stuff on, and you like, I think social media is probably the biggest tool to like fight these problems. Obviously, not to be disrespectful, but a lot of Africa is obviously developing world, so things are happening a little bit later there.
Yeah.
So social media is massive for them at the moment. These are how these stories have been told, and I saw it
the
because
man
of
are
Twitter.
sipping lean, cuz I can't believe this.
Bruv.
Bad. Really bad.
Bro,
really?
Yeah, they have to. There was a guy they showed. They actually had to chain him to a tree outside because he was too violent.
Yeah.
They couldn't.
What, from lean?
Donnie was on crutch
lean,
still.
because they get it straight from the government. You see, like the big pharma companies, they sell them to drug dealers, so they were going undercover.
Yeah.
And so it's top grade stuff. Like it's still sealed with the emblem from
82%.
Jesus Christ. That's that blue magic. You know, in Frank Lucas, we're getting it fresh.
He's selling it to the drug dealers, and he knows he's sitting at a table with drug dealers.
It's not even diluted, you know.
Yeah, and that's what
Pure.
they're doing because it's
heroin.
Yeah, it's not that lean that Future's talking about. Like,
but that's what lean is. It's heroin. It's liquid heroin.
That's why they're saying there's an opioid.
Remember when I told you them Donnies on the block, on my block, that was sipping lean,
yeah,
and one couldn't like handle it, and just started throwing up everywhere. Had to grease him up still and clean that up, bruv.
Neighborhood watch over there.
Nah, like no, but imagine like a bunch of kids are literally on your front door,
yeah,
throwing up, and my mum's in the kitchen, innit? So she's thinking, what's going on? She steps out, sees a bunch of youths, and there's one that's just all over the place throwing up. So naturally, she's gonna call me, innit? So I come up, like his friends were just holding him up. They were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man, you just had too much." And I'm like, "Why are you even taking this stuff? Like, where's the desire, man? Can't even just settle for a little piece of alcohol." These men are young as well, which is even worse.
But you're impressioned by that age,
I suppose.
Think about all the dumb stuff we did as youngsters, innit?
Nope.
Like, you didn't do no dumb shit. Don't laugh.
Like that.
All I said is dumb shit. There's degrees to dumb shit.
Them times I wouldn't even like. Even when someone had a little Lambrini, I was like, nah. So lean is
scared.
Bro, lean, yeah. It's just levels above a lot of things. So like when we talk about the stupid shit that we did when we were younger, I guess like for everyone else, you may have done something differently in it.
Yeah.
Me, that's not the type of stupid shit that I was indulging in. Lean is just mad.
Yeah.
Like imagine just going just grabbing the strongest medicine possible and just sipping it for the whole day.
Pretty much what they do.
Nah, not me.